You have big dreams of losing weight and creating a healthy, joyful life. But you find yourself craving sugar, caught up in what the scale says, and diet hopping. Dieting is the old way of losing weight. And the good news is I'm going to give you a new way of eating so you can ditch diets for good and build a healthy relationship with real food. My name is Megan Olson, certified nutrition practitioner, creator of Skinny Fitalicious, and your host of the Dish on Diets show. Hello, friends. Well, it's the Monday after Thanksgiving, and I thought there would be no better time than to talk to you about getting back on track. Not with food, not with your habits, not with exercise, but with your mindset. Your mindset is the root of all your problems. The problems that people face when it comes to taking care of their nutrition and their health always stems from their mindset and how they're thinking and perceiving certain things. But before we get started today, I want to announce the last cookbook winner of 2024. If you are just joining this podcast, big welcome. I have been doing a free cookbook giveaway of my cookbook each month during the year of 2024 and announcing winners at the beginning of every month on this podcast. My book was actually released in 2020. I think I mentioned that previously on a different episode that I was scheduled to be on QVC for my cookbook release in 2020, but then the world shut down and it never happened. So I'm just so grateful for those of you who continue to purchase it. And so for the last cookbook winner of 2024, username HappyJackie14. She says, I'm currently trying to get off Optavia. I can't believe I ever thought a package was healthier than a carrot. I actually feel dumb. I am learning from the podcast. Thank you. So Happy Jackie, please email me, Megan at skinnyfitalicious.com to claim your free cookbook and I will mail it to you personally. And by the way, you are absolutely not dumb, Happy Jackie. We have all fallen victim to these type of crash diets, and doing them is really how we learn. Because diets like Optavia do not work long-term until you're 85 years old. Yes, you lose weight in the short term, but you cannot sustain the weight loss because you are not building a lifestyle you can do until you're 85 years old with foods that you love. If you can't sustain it, the diet does not work. That is a mindset reframe many women need to grasp to get out of the diet prison that they're living in. So do not call yourself names like dumb. The marketing for diets like Optavia is very alluring, and when we are so desperate to feel better, it's easy to fall back into a crash diet. So this is the perfect lead into our conversation today because we are in the middle of holiday season. Thanksgiving was last Thursday. And the common behavioral pattern that happens to women this time of year is they stop practicing their habits. They often go to screw-itville. And in January, they swing to the other side of the spectrum, trying to restrict food and diet harder to get back on track, to get themselves under control. So let's clear up one thing right off the bat. This does not work. Now let's clear up another thing. This is not a problem of you not knowing what to do. You likely know the importance of steps. It's not like you've never heard anybody say, hey, you should probably get some steps, right? You likely know the importance of getting some exercise. You've probably heard of that concept before too, right? Get some exercise. You probably know the importance of eating protein, eating fruits and vegetables, and fiber-balanced meals. Knowing is not your problem. Most women I have worked with in my 11 years of being a nutritionist are not clueless. They're smart. They're successful. So what exactly is the problem then? Why do so many women fall into the pattern of getting off track during the holidays, saying screw it with their habits, overindulging, then swinging to crash dieting and restricting foods in January? The problem is their mind. Their mind is the problem, and their emotional reaction to their mind causes them to spiral. For most people, Thanksgiving is a time of more indulgent food being around that's not normally around. Foods you're just not used to being around. Foods you have traditionally struggled and traditionally tried to restrict or felt guilty about eating. And you may also be faced with emotional triggers like family members and friends that are around you who trigger you. So now you eat more food or foods that are more indulgent, foods that you have typically felt guilty for eating in the past. So now you start to feel guilty for eating these foods. So then all Thanksgiving weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you eat like a jerk because, well, you're already feeling guilty for being off track, so you might as well just keep going, eat whatever you want, because the food helps you tune out the critical voice in your head telling you how you shouldn't have done that. You should have known better. And the only way you know how to shut down that voice is to eat more food. That's the escape. But then at some point, you get on the scale. The scale is up. And in your mind, you emotionally react thinking you did something wrong. The scale is up. See, I'm out of control. I've ruined all of my progress. I can't control myself with these foods. I can't control myself when Aunt Carol says these things to me. I already screwed up, so I might as well keep going and keep eating whatever I want and have my fun this entire holiday season. So now because of that emotional reaction and your guilt, you begin to justify being off track the rest of the holiday season. You say things like, I can't do this right now. I can't handle this right now. I have too much stress. I have too much to do. It's too hard during the holiday season. I have too many parties. I can't be consistent. There's no way. Your brain literally begins to look for evidence why it's too hard to stay on track or do anything to take care of your nutrition and exercise. So then you justify staying off track with these excuses and tell yourself, well, it's okay because I'll get back on track in January. So telling yourself that actually alleviates the guilt in the moment from what you're doing, because it's like you're giving yourself permission to eat like a jerk now and not pay attention because in January, you're going to be so perfect. You're going to be a clean eater. You're going to do dry January. You're going to cut out all your sugar and carbs and never eat them again. You are going to track your calories and be so perfect and never screw up. But the truth is, you are really turning your back on yourself because you are looking for relief from the guilt that you feel. The guilt isn't even warranted. It's just you overreacting to thinking you did something wrong when you didn't do anything wrong. But you, in your mind, think you're doing yourself a big favor by quitting on yourself and not doing any of your habits, and you justify with all these excuses. This is what happens to most women this time of year. And what most women fail to realize is that the real problem is their mind. And it all starts with your mind telling you you did something wrong by eating those foods, and your mind beginning to make you feel guilty, and then you emotionally overreact to the scale, which really is just from more food and water going through your body. But you emotionally react to all of this stuff, causing you to spiral out of control with food until January. And then in January, you swing to the other side of the spectrum by crash dieting and restricting foods that you think you shouldn't be eating, that you always feel guilty about eating. Your mind and emotions are the problem, not the food, not the exercise, not the fact that you don't know what to do, not the fact that you're dumb, not the fact that you're broken. You are looking for relief from the guilt, and this is why this happens. This is a mindset problem. It's a self-sabotaging pattern people fall into this time of year. This is not a food problem, and it doesn't get solved by you getting the right calories or a meal plan. Now, first of all, let's talk about the scale stuff again. Many of you are letting the scale dictate your emotions when in fact you do not understand how the scale works. I'm sorry, so many of you are so super duper smart, but when it comes to the scale, you really truly don't understand. And you do need to learn. You need to learn how body fat gain works. You are emotionally reacting to a number you see on a scale, and it's a number that you do not understand. Or you do understand and you still allow your emotions to rule and for your emotions to allow yourself to spiral out of control. Ladies, the scale does not measure body fat. I cannot say this enough, and I don't know how many times I need to say it, but it's not a measurement of body fat. When you are a woman over 35, your body composition, how much body fat and how much muscle you have on your body is what is most important, not the number on the scale. What percentage of body fat do you have? What percentage of muscle? Those are the numbers we need to be chasing. The scale is always going to fluctuate, and it is especially going to go up after having a day like Thanksgiving where you're consuming more indulgent food and carbs. Carbs contain water. The word carbohydrate, hydrate, means that carbs have water. So of course the scale is going to go up just for the mere fact of you having more food flowing through your digestive tract and foods that have more water. This is going to bring the scale up. That's not fat gain. Why would you ever get on the scale if you know emotionally you cannot handle it? If emotionally and logically you know that the scale does not measure body fat, why would you even bother getting on it? Why would you put yourself through that torment? Because you feel more bloated? Because you're reacting to feeling a certain way? Because you feel fat? Those are feelings. And our feelings lie to us all the time. You're not going to gain body fat from one day or even one weekend of indulging a little more. There are 365 days in a year, 3 meals a day. That's 1,095 meals a year. A few meals here and there is not going to break the bank. I promise you. You have to eat somewhere between 5,000 to 7,000 calories above maintenance to gain 1 pound of body fat. It doesn't work in one day or one weekend or even 1 week. It's a slow, gradual thing that happens over time. What does break the bank is this mindset of thinking you did something wrong and feeling guilty, then spiraling for the next 4 weeks, thinking somehow in January, you'll just get it together and be perfect. Ladies, our bodies are really resilient. They're much more resilient to the holidays and these times that are different than our normal lives than we realize. And if you had this good mindset that you did nothing wrong and just got back on track with your high protein breakfast and good balanced meals as soon as possible, you would naturally consume a little less overall the following days and would it all even out over time. Except that is the problem that most women are faced with. They think they did something wrong. They feel like they did something wrong. They mentally beat themselves up and feel guilty. If this is you, your relationship with food sucks. I did a podcast episode called Fix Your Relationship with Food. That episode is for those of you who feel guilty around food. It's episode 117. Food is just food. You did nothing wrong. You didn't kill anybody. You didn't run over your neighbor's dog. You just ate food. But unfortunately, most women have been taught with all these crazy crash diets that certain foods are bad and certain foods are good. Then this drives you to think that you need to be perfect with how you eat. You should never eat those bad foods. You should only eat good foods. It leads us into this black and white thinking. And then you struggle anytime you get around these foods that you think you shouldn't be eating, or anytime you're presented with these foods because you have this mindset. These foods are not the problem. Your mind is the problem. And how you have been taught to think about these foods is the problem. Your guilt is the problem. Your relationship with food needs to be fixed because if you feel guilty eating certain foods, it leads to this whole mess every holiday season. The guilt the shame, the negative self-talk, the getting on the scale to beat yourself up, the going to Screw-It-ville, then going back to a restrictive diet and round each year you go. And the worst part of all of this is that come January, you become so desperate to feel better that you will do just about anything to feel better as quickly as possible. That desperation makes you not think rationally, ladies. And because you're not thinking rationally, you then fall victim to another crazy diet plan that you could never sustain until you're 85 years old, and that doesn't address your relationship with food. You end up doing a stupid diet because you're so desperate and not thinking rationally. And then the weight all comes back and the relationship with food struggles are still there and the negative self-talk and guilt are still there. Then you start to believe this is just me. I don't have any willpower. I must not have the motivation. I must not be able to do this. I'm not capable of this. Now you literally begin to lose the belief in yourself that you can do this. The crazy part is this entire mess started with you thinking you ate the wrong way and you feeling guilty for eating a food. How does Optavia fix that? How does a meal plan fix that? How does counting calories harder fix that? How does cutting your carbs and sugar in January fix that? It doesn't. Because food is not the problem. This is why I always say it's your mind. Your mindset, your thinking process, your emotional reaction to things, that is the problem. That's the root problem most women need to address. And ladies, you can apply, honestly, what I just said about the holidays to any real life situation. A parent ends up sick in the hospital and you're off your plan for a few days. A child gets sick, you're moving, you go on vacation, you traveled for work. All these real life situations are why people struggle with their nutrition and exercise. Not because food and exercise is super complicated or people just don't know. It's because our minds catastrophize and make us feel bad, make us feel hopeless, and then we want to escape from the guilt, from feeling like we did something wrong, from feeling like we disappointed ourselves again. We want the escape. So the number one thing you must practice, whether it's during the holidays or during some other real life situation, is to remind yourself you did nothing wrong. It's just food. Don't dwell on what happened. Don't overthink it. Don't get on the scale to shame yourself even more. Instead, get curious, reflect on what happened, learn from it. If there's any type of learning opportunity, learn and move on. You need to practice moving on and not dwelling. Honestly, this is the true value of coaching right here. Learning how to navigate real life and correcting the stinky thinking that makes you feel guilty and leads to this entire mess. The guilt, the shame, the negative self-talk create more overeating, more binging, which leads to more restriction, more dieting, and back and forth you go, swinging between restricting and dieting and overeating, and right? That's why you have to have a healthy relationship with food and why it's so important, because as soon as guilt and shame come sweeping in, it causes disordered patterns of behaviors for individuals with food. These are self-sabotaging patterns that people fall into. And this is the value of being coached. I think a lot of women think coaching is just having someone hand them a meal plan or give them some numbers like calories or protein, and let's see how perfect you can be. Oh, you messed up? Let's just try harder. Except that's not what real coaching is. That doesn't work. Telling somebody, let's try harder, or let's see how much better you can be this time with counting your numbers or whatever, it doesn't work. If it were as easy as telling someone what numbers to hit and what to do, no one in the world would ever have a problem with nutrition and exercise. This is why you have a coach to help you figure out what are you thinking in those moments that trip you up, that cause you to self-sabotage. What are your mindset and feelings when you spiral out of control? How can we change that perspective? A good coach is going to help you reflect, get curious, and figure out how to reframe your perspective and self-talk around those situations. So instead of beating yourself down and quitting, you actually learn so you can learn how to navigate real life, learn how to treat those situations differently and react to them in a new way so that you can be more consistent and reach your goals. Not perfect, consistent. Honestly, this is what my work with most of my clients is around. Their mindset, their emotional reactions, their relationship with food, because these are truly the root causes of why women struggle. It's not because they're not smart enough. It's not because they don't know about exercise and steps and protein. I mean, I've never met anybody who was like, yeah, I never heard of that before. No. People know about these things. Food is not actually the problem. It's this right here that I'm explaining to you right here. This is the value of having a really good coach on your side who can help you work through this, because that is what's actually causing your problems with food. That is what's causing you to overindulge. That is what's causing you to chronically diet and never reach your goal of losing weight and keeping it off until you're 85 years old. So ladies, please, this holiday season, get back on track with your mind. You've got to work on your mind. Don't dwell on anything you thought you did wrong. Remind yourself you didn't kill anybody. Instead, get curious. See if there's a learning opportunity. Drop your guilt right now and remind yourself you did nothing wrong. It's just food. Release yourself from any shame that you are feeling. And listen, if you struggle to do this on your own, you need to look for help. Doesn't have to be from me. There's a lot of really good coaches out there. But remember, doing some other diet in January isn't going to fix all this. You got to get to the root cause, and it's your mind. It all starts with your mind. And remember, if you need any help with this, please schedule a consultation with me, and I will discuss with you where you're at and how I can help you. All right, ladies, I hope this conversation was helpful for you today. I'll talk to you soon. Hey, if you enjoyed this podcast, you have to come check out my free weight loss class. It's the 5 steps to lasting weight loss, how hormones impact weight loss, and the truth about lasting weight loss without relying on willpower, workouts, or deprivation. Click the link in the show notes to watch that free class today. And if you are a woman over 35 with 20 to 50 or more pounds to lose, schedule a free weight loss breakthrough session with me after you watch that class, and let's talk about your 20 to 50 or more pound weight loss plan.